Hello, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. Wishing everyone an enjoyable listening experience. Today, we're going to talk about the book A Whole New Mind. This book is exceptionally important and may change the direction of your endeavors. Its subtitle is Why Right-Brainers Will Rule the Future. Doesn't that sound like clickbait? Actually, it's not an exaggeration at all. The author of this book is Daniel H. Pink, a renowned futurist and trend expert. He's often referred to as a pioneer of 21st century business thinking. You see, the term pioneer implies exploring uncharted territory in thought. That's quite a compliment. We all know that the left brain is responsible for logical reasoning. In the past, we believed that excelling in logical thinking would prepare us for success in any field. Our entire education system was designed to cultivate the left brain. However, the author suggests that in the future, focusing solely on left brain thinking might leave you at a significant disadvantage. The path we used to consider honorable, great, and correct may lead to a situation where you end up in the lower or middle class of society if you continue down that path. The author predicts that we have transitioned from the left brain era to the right brain era. Why would he say that? We all know that tools are extensions of our human bodies. As our tools become more diverse, the functions of our bodies are gradually outsourced. For example, cars are an extension of our legs, and smartphones are an extension of our senses. We used to think that the functions of the brain would not be outsourced because tools can't replace our ability to think. Thinking about it this way, it makes sense. But the brain also has a left and right hemisphere. Artificial intelligence is gradually replacing our left brain. Computers have superior computational abilities, memory, and logical reasoning skills compared to us, humans. Artificial intelligence excels in these areas far more than humans do. So, what do we have left? We are left with the right brain, which is skilled at imagination, creativity, and visual thinking. Therefore, the development of the right brain has become a crucial factor in an individual's future competitiveness. Now, let's discuss the three main drivers pushing us towards right brain thinking and the 6 essential abilities we must master in the future. Why has right brain thinking suddenly become so important? Well, apart from the influence of artificial intelligence, there are some other contributing factors. The author has outlined 3 reasons for us. The first reason is the significant abundance of material wealth. In other words, we have essentially moved past the era of material scarcity. When we go to the supermarket, we can feel the increasing variety of products. How many types of shampoo are there? How many toothpaste brands exist? As long as you have money, you won't worry about not being able to buy things. We have entered a period of decision paralysis. In the past, when buying things, we sought practicality. A toilet seat was for sitting on, and a watch was for telling time. But now, a toilet seat isn't just a toilet seat, it needs to be functional, aesthetically pleasing, and possibly imported. People are no longer just seeking practicality, they're pursuing aesthetics, quality, and style. They are more focused on the spiritual aspects. More and more items are no longer solely practical. Take candles, for example. Who uses candles nowadays? They serve a decorative purpose, yet candle companies still achieve high sales figures. In other words, people's demands are changing. If you can only offer something with basic functionality and can't use your right brain to add more value to it, your product may struggle. The second reason is the rise of Asia. With Asia's ascent, young Asians are gradually taking over jobs that used to belong to American youth. It's like how Asians were willing to do labor-intensive work, which Americans didn't want to do, and ended up taking those jobs. Asians can perform the same work at lower costs, promoting the growth of labor-intensive industries. Now, for knowledge workers in Europe and North America, their competitors are not just those nearby but also these young Asians. Communication costs are nearly zero today, leading to a plethora of knowledge outsourcing businesses. For instance, the annual salary of a computer programmer in the US usually reaches $70,000, but a young person in India can complete the same job faster and better for only 1/25th of the American programmer's salary. You give them $300, and they'll get the job done. As a result, American companies are eager to outsource this work. The CEO of General Electric's Indian subsidiary stated in an interview that any English-speaking country's work can be done in India, the only limitation is your imagination. This situation isn't limited to India, it's happening worldwide. A plethora of knowledge-based tasks are being outsourced. For example, Motorola and Intel have established software companies in Russia, while architects in Hungary are designing blueprints for California-based companies, and accountants in the Philippines are conducting audits for European consulting firms. Many Chinese designers are working on designs for Philips in the Netherlands, and they are paid only a tenth of the rates in other countries. In such a scenario, if you still focus on left-brain work, your competitors won't just be your neighbors, they'll be from another country, working harder and demanding lower prices. The third reason, of course, is the development of artificial intelligence. You may have noticed that computers outperform us in any logic-based task that requires memory. There's a saying, software is the vehicle of the mind, it takes over most tasks that require left-brain thinking. For example, we used to believe that professions like programming, medicine, and law were high-end careers, but they all share a common feature, they require a lot of logical thinking. Take doctors, for instance, they need to follow a series of decision tree-based judgments when diagnosing patients. Do you have a runny nose? Do you have a cold? If you do, what should you do? If you don't, what should you do? Are your individual indicators high or low? Then, they reason through the results. These are tasks computers excel at. So, there's been a proliferation of medical software lately. It won't be long before people can diagnose themselves using software. In summary, three forces are making left-brain thinking less important: material abundance, global knowledge outsourcing, and the development of artificial intelligence. These three unstoppable forces are pushing us from the information age into the conceptual age. Therefore, we must learn to think with our right brains. To find our livelihoods in this conceptual age, we need to answer three questions clearly. The first one, is your job something that can be done more cost-effectively by outsourcing? These outsourcing providers might not be local but could be competitors from another country. The second question, in the future, will a computer do your job better and faster than you can? Are you competing with computers for your job? The third question, in an era where practicality is not the main focus, does your service go beyond practical needs and satisfy users' spiritual needs? Can it stimulate their imagination while they enjoy your service? If your work meets these criteria, congratulations. Your future is likely to be bright, like riding an upward elevator. A little more effort, and you'll achieve great results. If you don't meet these criteria, it's like taking a downward elevator, even if you work very hard, your ascent will be slow. These are the forces of the trend, part 3. This is also a very important part. The 6 essential abilities for the future, 3 senses and 3 powers. To better address this trend, the author has listed the 6 most essential abilities for future talents, which are the essence of this book, known as 3 senses and 3 powers. The 3 senses are design sense, entertainment sense, and meaning sense. The 3 powers refer to storytelling power, symphony power, and empathy power. Now, let's look at what each of these means in detail. The first one is design sense. There's a story about a senior designer who often gives charity speeches to children. Before the speech, he would often ask a question: how many of you are artists? At this point, he noticed a pattern. If the students were in the first grade, almost everyone would raise their hands, feeling that they were all artists. If they were in the third grade, only about half would raise their hands. By the 6th grade, hardly any child would raise their hand. This indicates that our education system is stifling a person's innate design sense. In the past, you might have thought that designers were a specialized profession, and if you weren't going to be a designer, why bother learning design? But here's the thing, design is not just for designers. It's an ability that requires a high aesthetic standard, a constant pursuit of heart and beauty. If you look around, everything within your field of vision has been designed. It's not an exaggeration to say that people don't pay for items, they pay for design. Take smartphones, for example. Each new generation of smartphones comes out, and you may want to get a new one even if your iPhone 6 is still working perfectly. Are you buying it for the new features? Probably not. Most of the functions on an iPhone are hardly used in our daily lives. The real reason is often the desire for aesthetics, novelty, and beauty. To put it more precisely, the value a product can add is its design sense. Research from the London Business School shows that for every 1% increase in design investment, a company's sales and profits increase by an average of 4%. For instance, in the automotive industry, BMW's head of design said, "We don't produce cars, we produce works of art." Ford also claims that their car's horsepower has given way to style. Users are paying for design. Even government departments in the United States are pursuing design. In 2004, the U.S. State Department announced the cancellation of the long-used 12-point Courier font in favor of a 14-point New Roman font. Why? Because the new font looked neater and more aesthetically pleasing. Therefore, aesthetics is an essential ability. Aesthetics, in essence, is the ability to intuitively extract and optimize information. This is an ability that machines cannot replace. In the future, more competitive products will not necessarily be cheaper or more functional, they will be more beautiful. Only by appreciating beauty can you break free from price wars and strive in higher realms. How can you cultivate this design sense? The author's suggestion is that the only way to improve is to observe more. Use a camera to capture everything in your daily life that you find ugly, and think about what's ugly about it and how you would design it differently. Also, capture things you find beautiful and reflect on which elements attracted you. If you were to design it, how could you make it even more perfect? Additionally, visit creative museums and read design magazines, and observe life more. Gradually, your design sense will be cultivated. Beauty requires constant exposure and nurturing. The second one is entertainment sense. Here, when we talk about entertainment sense, it doesn't mean that you have to tell jokes to entertain. It's about incorporating entertainment into your genes, into a company's culture, and generating a sense of entertainment. In the past, entertainment was mostly associated with leisure activities or non-work-related pursuits. Henry Fu Tuo once said, "Work is work, and play is play." In the industrial age, entertainment and work were strictly separated. Ford's factories even had a rule that employees were not allowed to smile. A smile could disrupt the entire production process. In 1940, a Ford executive named John Gallo was fired because he and a colleague shared a laugh, causing a half-minute delay on the production line and resulting in significant losses. Back then, work had to be serious. But things are different now. If you don't understand humor, your interpersonal relationships may not be very strong, or they may be overly serious. If your service lacks entertainment value, your customers may not buy into it. Fun has become a crucial core competitive advantage. You might say, "I'm naturally serious, what can I do if I'm not good at telling jokes?" Actually, your seriousness is because you're accustomed to left-brain thinking. The left brain controls your logic and makes you think linearly about everything. But humor disrupts this linear thinking and takes a sudden turn, requiring right-brain thinking. If you think you have to have a reason to laugh, you're mistaken. Laughter can also happen for no reason. Look at children, they laugh many times a day. Do they need a reason? No, they don't. They just laugh inexplicably. But when they laugh, the people around them also become happy. In India, there's an organization where members practice laughter every morning, without any reason. They laugh for a while, and then they say they feel great for the whole day. It's because laughter has the same effect as yoga and meditation. It empties your mind and relieves stress. I'm mentioning all this to emphasize the importance of entertainment. Don't see it as a pastime outside of work. Instead, incorporate it into your life and consider it a necessity to improve your work. The third one is meaning sense. This concept of meaning sense is quite abstract. It actually corresponds to the highest level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization. When you haven't solved your basic needs, such as food and shelter, you won't think about meaning. Work is just for making money, and making money is the ultimate purpose. Who has time to think about meaning? However, once you've reached a certain level, meaning becomes important. It's about whether what you're doing is needed by others and has value. Can you connect what you do with a grand purpose? In the future, a sense of meaning will become even more crucial. All talented individuals will seek self-realization and aim to maximize their self-worth. Meaning is something you define for yourself. If you say it exists, it does. If you say it doesn't, it doesn't. So, now, let's talk about the three powers. The first one is storytelling power. Do you know how to tell a story? What is a story? A story is about placing information within a setting that gives the information an emotional impact. For instance, if I say, the Queen died, and then the King also died, that's not a story. But if I say, the Queen died, and then the King died of a broken heart, that is a story. In this version, a simple element like a broken heart adds an emotional dimension. Stories are created by incorporating various emotional elements to engage the audience. This aspect is also gaining increasing attention in the business world. Imagine you have 2 bottles of wine in front of you, and they are similarly priced with similar tastes and packaging. The first bottle is marketed with a lot of adjectives describing how good it is, how sweet it tastes, and its high quality. It goes on about how it's prestigious to serve this wine. The second bottle, on the other hand, tells a story about 2 sisters from a remote village who have been making wine for generations. Their family's winemaking tradition was threatened when their vineyard caught fire, and their father risked his life to save a secret recipe. Tragically, their father was seriously injured in the process. Before he passed away, he entrusted them with the secret recipe, hoping they would carry on the family legacy. To honor their father's memory, they decided to donate a portion of the proceeds from every bottle sold to a local school. They have already donated over $1 million and helped more than 3,000 underprivileged children. Even though this story is clearly fictional, it has the power of storytelling and can evoke emotions. Now, if you were to choose between the 2 bottles of wine, you would likely go for the one with the story. This is the power of storytelling in business. There's a well-known Hollywood screenwriter named Robert McKee who wrote a best-selling book titled Story. He often conducts seminars, and interestingly, he found that most of the attendees were not screenwriters but businessmen. He realized that he wasn't teaching screenwriting but rather business training. So, you see, the importance of storytelling is widely recognized. But how can you become proficient in storytelling? The author suggests writing mini-stories. Practice writing very short stories, around 100 words each. For example, David, the third of 5 children in his family, left home to travel the country at the age of 16. He settled in New York, married a virtuous woman, but life wasn't easy. They struggled to make ends meet, and their children often caused them worry. Sometimes, David even considered leaving everything behind. However, he knew that his wife had only a year left to live. So, he stayed, taking care of her until the end. In memory of his father, 1 bottle of wine was donated for every bottle sold to a local school, contributing to the education of countless children. These are short stories, only 100 words, but they contain characters, relationships, setups, and turning points. You can freely create stories. For example, if you encounter 2 strangers on the subway, you can invent a story about what might happen between them based on the situation. When you see images on your phone, you can come up with stories based on the content. This exercise not only enhances your improvisational skills but also makes things interesting. The second power is symphony power. It's essentially about systems thinking, the ability to combine seemingly unrelated factors into a coherent whole. It's also known as holistic thinking, focusing on the big picture rather than getting bogged down in details. In other words, it's about becoming a cross-disciplinary talent. You may have noticed that true innovation always happens at the intersection of different fields. An internet company becomes the largest provider of car services. A battery company becomes an automobile manufacturer. A gaming company turns into a movie studio. All sorts of cross-boundary innovations are occurring. So, if you stick to your narrow area and don't broaden your horizons, you may be at a disadvantage. How can you practice this kind of cross-disciplinary thinking? Well, metaphor practice is one of the best methods. We used to think of metaphors as just embellishments for understanding things. Now, you should elevate them to a higher level. Human thought processes are fundamentally metaphorical. When you encounter something new, your first instinct is to create a metaphor, transforming it into something familiar. Practicing metaphors involves noting down any metaphors you come across or think of in daily life. You can use a metaphor notebook or simply jot them down on your phone. The third power is empathy power. In the past, we often emphasized the need for rational thinking, making us appear intelligent as we analyzed problems objectively, without emotion. Most books taught us to think rationally. However, you've probably noticed that if you only focus on analysis, machines can outperform you by far. Human emotions are something machines can never replace. For example, when your girlfriend is upset and starts complaining about her problems, most people's first reaction is to come up with solutions. They list out steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 as if that's what she needs. However, she's not really seeking help at that moment, she's expressing her emotions and wants you to understand how she feels. You don't actually need to offer any solutions. This is left brain thinking. Right brain thinking involves empathizing with her emotions, sharing her feelings, and guiding her towards a more positive direction. For instance, if she's feeling down, you should also act a bit down and listen attentively. After she finishes speaking, knowing that you've understood her emotions, you can introduce a happier topic, shifting the conversation towards something fun. This way, she'll feel that you truly understand her, and this is the power of empathy. Artists work this way. They use their creations to help express emotions. When we're sad, and someone writes a sad song, we often say, "Wow, this singer really gets me." Good actors have strong empathic abilities. They can quickly grasp the emotions of the characters in the script and immerse themselves in those emotions. This is what we call acting skill. What are they acting? They're acting emotions. So, singers and actors are among the most popular because they create a resonance between themselves and the audience. Fans can fall in love with creators through a song or a movie because they feel a connection, an emotional resonance. Therefore, understanding others' emotions, putting yourself in their shoes, and resonating with them are essential abilities for future talents, possibly even more important than rational thinking. Let's summarize this book. It emphasizes that in the future, we need to shift from left brain thinking to right brain thinking for 3 key reasons: abundant resources, convenient knowledge-based outsourcing, and the rise of artificial intelligence. To address this trend, we need to prioritize 6 essential abilities, which are collectively referred to as 3 senses and 3 powers. The 3 senses include design sense, entertainment sense, and meaning sense. The 3 powers encompass storytelling power, symphony power, and empathy power. If we can develop these abilities, we will thrive in this changing landscape. In reality, we are inherently equipped with these skills, but external factors have often suppressed them. Our ancestors were natural storytellers, designers, and inventors. Now, what we need to do is combine our knowledge-driven approach with emotional elements, reclaiming what we've lost. Congratulations on finishing another book. Thank you all for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with your friends. Let's combine wisdom and practice to achieve our financial goals and create a better future. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.